Kerri Savidge from Bundaberg Basketball. During the floods, Bundaberg Basketball was basically completely devastated by the floods. It was close to $1.5 million in damage. 8 foot of water came through the outdoor courts and the indoor courts. It took us about an hour to work out what we're going to do, how to even start, when there was just piles of mud and seats. Like here where I'm sitting was, well, I would have been up to my waist here. So it really was everything. There was things floating around. There was things we didn't know, things from up the road that had come down. You know, there was mud everywhere. There was snakes, there was frogs, there was toads. One of the ladies, she managed to get an inflatable boat from up the road. She came down the courts in the little inflatable dinghy with her son, and they came into the stadium and they managed to get out all the trophies, parts of the history, the things that we knew that we just couldn't, reproduce. We had a bit of a meeting on where to go next, what are we going to do, etc. And we're tired and we're hungry. And we looked up and this woman walked in. She said, I don't know any of you. And she said, but I've cooked you all this. And she brought in sandwiches, she brought in food. We knew it was going to take a long time to get back to the standard we were at, but the important part for the kids and for us was to just get back playing basketball. Our first priority had to be our floor. So the state government had an infrastructure program, which we were fortunate to get enough money to do our floor. We were very, very lucky that Hervey Bay Basketball Club started a fundraiser. Very small club, we'd had no contact with them ever. They ran quite a few celebrity games and raised like $10,000 for us, which was just amazing. It was a good community building exercise for us as a club. We've got a lot more members through people being aware of the devastation. Rather than just being a basketball stadium, which was what it was prior to the floods, it's now a community centre. We've really got strength from the floods, and I think that's the important part. So Brad Crosby from Wild Projects, he phoned me up and he said, does basketball need a hand? Brad and I put in a submission for some federal government funding on a project that trained Indigenous youth. We got a few volunteers in who had concreted before. We managed to lay, there's a slab behind us here. They rendered the dressing rooms, they painted it because the water went well over those dressing rooms. The boys came along and basically did a lot of concreting and landscaping for us. So it was fantastic because 12 months on, it was still an opportunity for people to get some training skills that they probably wouldn't have got elsewhere, plus helping a community and sporting group. So it was great. So we started to put all of our valuables, everything we needed to save, up high, past the last flood level. Then took off home when we could. Unfortunately, I forgot that I was only 4'10", and when the water came over the floorboards, it ended up, I had to swim out and save my laptop. And the next day was really devastating. The next day it was probably over 2 metres past the last flood level. The offices were gone. Walked in here and we opened the door. There was trees, it was absolutely amazing how much stuff got into an enclosed building. Throwing things away that are new, that's really tough. We knew we had to get the mud off the floor because that's what we've got to save. Our floor is about $100,000. We were never going to be able to replace that. So we were fortunate that this time we knew to get it off quickly. We got the SES in, we got fire hoses. We put so much water on that, I thought we were going to cause another flood. But what it did is it cleaned it off, it allowed it to breathe, and it probably saved us. It saved our association, really. Floods did bring out the good in a lot of people, and something that's very special to me is I received a phone call from a gentleman down the coast. Him and his girlfriend we want to help out some sports. It turns out he was an ex-State of Origin footballer, and he'd gone around and asked a few mates, can you donate me some balls and some sporting equipment? So when he phoned me, he asked me, what do you need the most? And I said, 6 balls is all we need to be able to keep playing again. Over the week he rang, we turned up out at the sports grounds. There was a lot of other sports there and we were expecting a trailer. A semi-trailer actually arrived. It was full of all the sports equipment that you could think of. We got a big box of basketballs and he handed it over to me and he goes, these aren't new. They're probably so special to us because they were rubber balls that kids had given up. Good luck, Bundy. Cheers, Bundy. We're thinking about you, that sort of thing. So for kids that don't know us, they've got no reason to do that except people, it's that flood spirit. They came up and not just basketball, so many sports benefit from that. And we all just stood out there gobsmacked, like, why are these people so nice?